Hi, this is another tutorial from Canvas ETC. We will be making cornhole bags. They're 6 inches by 6 inches with about a pound each to each bag. What you want to do is get some rotary cutters. That's good for squaring. You'll also need some pins to make sure your seams are straight. A marking pen. I like to use the marking pen to mark my seam allowances. I will be using dyed duck cloth. It's a 10-ounce canvas. Also, you'll need a straight edge to measure out your squares, and you will need to have a self-healing mat. In this application, I'm just going to make the one, but you'll need to make 3 of one color and 3 of another color. Like I said, we will be using 10-ounce canvas. You would just need to cut your canvas into strips 7 inches wide. So just take your straight edge and measure out 7 inches. Use your rotary cutters and have that squared off. And then once it's cut down to 7 inches, you want to turn your canvas to the opposite side and then cut another 7 inches. And that makes your square. So you want to do this for, you want 8 squares for one color and then 8 squares for another color. This allows you to have 4 bags for each team. Then you want to take your straight edge and just mark off 1/2 inch with your marking pen, and this will give you your seam allowance. Also, it's nice to have about a 1/2 inch seam allowance, so then you can double stitch your seams to make it sturdy. As you play the game, it kind of keeps it from breaking apart and coming open. So I like to give it a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Make sure, what I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that I leave an opening so you can insert your corn husks, or also you can use plastic pellets. Use pins to line up your edges. And as you can see, I kind of left an opening so I can remind myself not to sew it shut. So there's my opening from one side to the other. And just go around and make sure you double stitch your bag so to reinforce it. I changed my camera angle, so that's why I went to the more narrow side. Sorry about that. Also, my sewing machine is shining a little bit brightly here, but this kind of just gives you an idea of how to sew that. Make sure that you reinforce your stitches, and that's very important because you don't want your bags busting open and having all your corn husks or your pellets fly out. Take your rotary cutters or a pair of scissors and just cut your corners at a diagonal, and this allows you to have more pointed corners, and it alleviates that little bulk inside the corner edge. So that's how you do that. Just do that on all 4 sides, and then do that before you turn it inside out. And as you can see, that's kind of what it should look like. Yeah. So again, I left an opening, and we will turn it inside out, and then I like to weigh my bag just to make sure as to I know how much the bag weighs. Typically, a bag can weigh between 15 to 16 ounces. Some people like to have the full 16 ounces for when they play the game. So that's the regulations that I've looked up. So now my bag measures 6 inches wide and 6 inches long. Here I have a digital scale. I want to make sure as I fill my bag that it's at the exact weight. So I zeroed out my measuring cup, and I'm pouring in. In this particular video, I'm showing popcorn. They suggest not to use popcorn. This is just for an example. So I measured out 15 ounces by 15 3/4 ounces. This can be a little bit tricky. I kind of, when using canvas, it's a little bit sturdier. I used a funnel in order to pour my corn into the bag, but the funnel hole didn't seem to work. So as you can see, this funnel has like a pour spout with it. So I left about, I would say maybe 2.5 inch opening in order to fill that up. So you just want to fold your opening and kind of pinch the corn to the bottom. I'm recalculating how much it weighs here, and as I put that on, it should weigh 1 pound exact. So what you want to do is pin your bag close to the corn. So you want it like almost an inch inside. Squish all that corn to one side and then sew, because you don't want to sew in any of your corn husks or corn holes, I'm sorry. This is my first stitch, and I'm going to stitch that one more time at the opening, not on that exact same stitch line, but a 1/4 inch in, so then that way it's reinforced. I'm going to take my pins out, and as you can see, I have that double stitching there at the opening. Okay, now it looks like it's pretty good. You just want to repeat these steps a few more times until you have your hole set. And that's what a cornhole bag looks like. Thanks for watching. See you again.